Rob, I'm curious about this because, you've done carnivore, you've done keto, and something that I was looking into a little bit recently was like when you look at, I think Sean Baker's put his blood work out there. Paul Saladino has also this guy named Carnivore Kurt that put his blood work out too. And something that you tend to see with individuals that there were those guys that did carnivore for quite a long time is that their SHBG levels went high, like abnormally high for men, and their free and total testosterone came down, like was oddly low, right? Something that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And I think I heard Sean mention once that he, when he was talking about it, because I think his total test was like 237 or something. Yeah. And he was like, well, my androgen receptors are more like they're more sensitive, so I'm able to do more with what I've got. But can you explain those mechanisms to us? Because those, like, that doesn't necessarily seem like it'd be ideal for testosterone to be that low. But maybe are we looking at it the wrong way? Is that as big of a problem as people may think it is? Or is it normal?
Man, my most honest answer is I don't know. Okay. The more speculative answer, like backing out a little bit, we know that if somebody's on a higher carb diet, that their need for thyroid is definitely greater. So that T4 T3 conversion, the need for thyroid in the metabolism of carbohydrates is more important. And it's a little bit more defensible to say, well, if you eat a lower carb diet, you don't necessarily need as much T3. And so long as we don't have folks that are symptomatic towards hypothyroid, like being cold and things like that. And ironically, adequate sodium is probably the big driver there. Like if somebody's suffering kind of hypothyroid symptoms, so electrolyte and sodium intake just like resolves virtually all of that. Like I'm really hard pressed to see it not address most situations. The testosterone is a more perplexing one. That I have to admit that. Like there is research that suggests that in the low carbohydrate environment, when insulin is low, then there's an upregulation of sex hormone binding protein. But you could make the case that that's kind of more for like a scarcity period of time, like if resources are real scarce, like if you're when do you get into ketosis in kind of a natural environment? If you're fasting or if you've really had extended periods of time of very low carbohydrate or high physical activity and reasonably low carbohydrate, but you could still make the case that it's kind of a scarcity environment potentially. So it's tough. I guess that this is still something that just from a clinical perspective, like does the individual wake up with an erection each day if they're a male? Do they, whether male or female, do they have decent libido, and all that type of stuff? And so I think that is where you kind of have to back it up a little bit and take more the what's going on clinically. I will say that whether people are well supplemented on sodium or not, there have been a lot of people I've worked with where they've been in that 30 grams of carbs per day level, and they felt kind of sluggish. Like they only an erection was only a memory that they had, in the morning and stuff like that. And then you bump them up to 75 grams a day, maybe even cycle it a little bit, like hard training day at 75 and other days is a little lower. And then they start waking up with morning wood and they get a little bit leaner and just a little bit more focused and all the things that kind of go along with, I think, a good androgen profile. But man, a ton of that was super speculative. Yeah. Like the thyroid picture, I think, is a more defensible piece of that high carb versus low carb thing. But again, I think that we really have to take it kind of at the clinical level, like these relative numbers. I don't know. Here's a thing that's interesting too, and it actually drives this point home even further away from where Sean Baker would really make this case. The testosterone levels of like our generation's grandparents in their 60s and 70s was like 3 times what it is now.
Whoa.
And there's something crazy going on, whether it's xenoestrogens or the Hallmark channel, or, I don't know what thing it is, but there's something going on there. And it actually makes the case that kind of like normal biological functioning may have been consistent with much higher androgen levels. So that kind of, I don't know, like that's a tough one for me. Like that one really is a tough one for me.
Has your blood work reflected that in terms of low carb too? Like, I mean, have you noticed that with your testosterone or whatever, or not really?
Thus far, it hasn't been. So like, okay. I'm like, I'll bounce anywhere from like the 6s to the 8s on the total level. I do use a little bit of Clomid and have used it for about 6 years. That's kind of the only foray into the HRT scene that I've done thus far. And it really works well for me. Like it really pops stuff up. And, I think that Clomid has some effect on sex hormone binding protein also. And so I don't know if I'm suppressing that via the Clomid. And so I'm getting both a testosterone boost and modulating the sex hormone binding protein because of that. So like I may have kind of a special circumstance there, but I also, in the summer, I eat more fruit. You know, like berries and melons and stuff like that. Like depending on my activity, one day I might get 150 grams of carbs. The next day it might be 0. Like what I notice is I can do a decent amount of carbs one day. And then when I try to do it the second day and the third day, that's where like the stuff just falls apart. And so even though I've eaten a ketogenic diet for like 22, 23 years, like I do have forays into, you know, these other areas. And I just kind of, when I feel like I need some or I want some, then I have it and then I'm kind of done. So I think also just that somewhat random carb exposure that I get probably helps in that regard too. So we're introducing so many different variables there. It's kind of hard to pin it all down, like what, you know, why my situation is working.
Some really wacky stuff with blood work. It's hard, very confusing sometimes. You know, you can go super low carb and your fasted glucose could be higher than if you had just a little bit of carbohydrate, which you're like, how does that make any sense? What has been your own experience with that?
Mine has still remained pretty low. So I haven't experienced much of the dawn phenomena and whatnot. But the flip side of that is that I am not one of the, like, whether I eat very low protein or very high protein, my ketones never get much higher than about 0.4 to 0.6. Like I have to do some really crazy heroic stuff to get my ketones much higher than that, taking some MCT oil and whatnot. And I think that that's because I've eaten low carb for so long. Like I think I directly access fats pretty efficiently. I think I use ketones as a primary fuel pretty efficiently. But I haven't seen much of that dawn phenomena effect with me.